ไม่ได้image position cover.
Hi guys, good morning.
Hello.
Good
Morning,
afternoon.
guys. Oh, good afternoon. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be good afternoon. All right, I'm gonna talk about control and uncontrolled components. And today I'm not sure if I understand correctly or not, and so I want you guys to like discuss and tell me if my understanding is correct. Well, what is control component? A control component is a control when you react to control for you. Is basically it's like react is control for you. So that's why we call like control components. And when react is like in charge of control, and it will render and based in when you change state, it mean like it's like a react, it's like control everything for you. So example, it's like when we building a component and when we type like input, select or text area, or all of these form elements, it maintain internal state. What is internal state? It's like when we update every time and when we invoke the callback function, which is called like when we call on chain and it's called on callback function, and we will change state, like set state in the react. Let me explain about this code so you see more example. For like when user type something in this and we set on chain to this set state, and when the user type and it will trigger on chain function, and when the trigger on chain function, it will call the callback
Will update the state.
function. Yeah, and it will update the state here. So it's basically mean like react control everything for you. That is like a control component. And for the uncontrolled component, it's not rely on the internal state, and it's like a traditional HTML elements. When you type like input or anything like that, and we don't control anything, React don't control anything. You don't have to type on chain. You don't have to like call back function to like set state. So basically it's just like a normal HTML input form elements. It's like an actual DOM. You send data to the actual DOM. Oh, and in this one, for the input type file is always uncontrolled components because it's read only value. So it's like you cannot the user cannot change anything, like you cannot set type of the value. That's why it's uncontrolled components. As you can see in this one, it's like you can just type input like a HTML form, like when you type input and the data go to like an actual DOM. This is like example between control and uncontrolled component. For the control component, it's like controlled by local state because it's like React control itself, right? And for the uncontrolled components, it's like HTML. It's just like a basically it's like HTML input, like this one. And this one, this is like a difference between control components and uncontrolled components. For control components, they do not maintain their own state. Yeah, because it's like they don't have like their internal state. But for the uncontrolled component, they maintain their own state because they have like in the real DOM, they have their own state like that. And
I mean, what they refer to?
Yeah, what's they refer to?
what they, oh, you mean like refer to like
What you mean they? Who is they? Which is they?
oh they, it's like a controlled component.
Okay, so you
Like
mean
the
like
code?
basically element? Component itself, like
Yeah, it's like a component.
But in this case, it's mean native DOM, the real DOM.
native DOM to real DOM, right?
Yeah, the real DOM, the DOM that's shown in
Yeah, yeah.
visual interface. That's
Yeah.
day.
That
Yeah, I
makes
think
sense.
there is the inputs
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, I mean they mean probably mean DOM because like I mean it's mean input element tag, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Something like
The
that.
component, the input component.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's mean like inputs component, and for data is, and for the control component, data is controlled by the parent component, because it's like you have state, so it's controlled in their own
Data is controlled by the appearance component.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And uncontrolled components, data is controlled by DOM, because it's like it's a traditional HTML, so like a real DOM, actual DOM.
So yeah, this mean like you get the data, you get the data by the DOM, right?
Yeah, you
Is
get the
that
data
called,
directly from
sort of
native DOM.
truth? Sort of truth.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's like, isn't like a single sort of truth.
Yeah, if we talk about single source of truth, the uncontrolled component come from the real DOM. So the DOM is the DOM is maintain their own state. Versus control component where React pass in states to value attribute. That means React is control value of the DOM, so that it makes single source of truth, because now all the state will sync between real DOM and React state. It's become single source of truth. That's why control component it's useful when you want to have React totally control the source of data. For example, use case, if when you type input and then you click submit and you want to have where after user click submit, you want to clean up the input data, like to be empty string, right? That when you say inside the submit form, you might want to set state of the value to be empty string. So that's how like control input come to in play, because otherwise if you don't use control component, if you use uncontrolled, then the user will have to kind of like use the delete keyboard themselves. So because right now we have two value inside the DOM and value in the React, it's not synced up. That's kind of like actually meaning of control, but let you finish first and then we can come back to each slide line by line.
Yeah, and for the control component, they take the current values through props and they notify the chains via callback. Yeah, when they trigger the callback function. So yeah, as I explained before, it will come back to like state and just set state. So it's control its own components. But for the uncontrolled components, if you want to get the value, like actual value, as you can see, you cannot we don't have like on chain or anything. So one thing that you can get the data from like actual DOM. So we use ref to refer that current value. Yeah, that's it. All about.
Okay, so we open for the question or any
Yeah,
comment?
let's keep slide up. I
But
think
yeah,
we can
let
kind
me
of like
go line by
clarify
line and just
from each slide
Open
to
the
kind of like
slide again.
clarify something.
why you such a hurry? You have another meeting?
Yeah, I'm in hurry.
You still
You always hurry.
It's like everything gonna be like bang.
Let's go up. Let's start with
Go back.
slide 1.
Yeah, go back to slide 1.
Better one, number one. Okay, cool. This one, right?
Okay. Mhm. So I think one thing that I feel like you might use a lot is that you always say React is control everything.
Yeah.
It's basically what control and uncontrol is value that React control. Because on click, when React use on click, it actually doesn't mean that in this context, it doesn't mean when you use on click in React, then React control on click is not, it's different. So what React control is, we talk about just only value, because when we use on click inside React file, everything inside React file is syntactic sugar. When we use, even though we use input, like but we actually use JSX input. It's not like real DOM input, it's JSX input. And then when we have attribute on click inside input JSX, it's what React handle on click to kind of like connect the on click inside JSX and give it to real DOM. It's kind of it's just adding attribute property to the real DOM, but we will need to use on click anyway, like directly or indirectly, but that it doesn't mean that mean if we use on click it will control component.
Oh yeah, so it's basically we use value to React use value to control, but we just use on chain to like when the data user type to trigger.
Yes.
Oh,
I just want to clarify that everything means value.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. Control or uncontrol is not about on click or on chain. It's all about the value.
It's about value. Yeah.
Like who is controlling the value. When we don't put anything in the value, when we write React code, that means the DOM will take care of it. But if we add the value equal something, usually we use a state, right? Then we are controlling the value. We are in control. Yeah, so it's a control component. Yeah, because I feel like sometimes it sounds like you a little bit confused with the word control. And you mentioned a lot of like on change and like set state, and that's not about the control or uncontrol component.
Yeah,
no, it's just like
about to change.
You have to have like a trigger when you trigger, and then
I mean, you can trigger. It doesn't matter. It's just like
you can trigger, but you still be uncontrolled component if you don't put the value.
Yeah. I mean, you can use that, but
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
That's our
Go to the
Next slide.
Good.
Next slide.
Oh wait. Sorry, Don had some question, but
Yeah,
how come we can't hear him?
You can raise hand if we can hear you.
Or you can just shout out like, "Hey!"
Just
like that.
scream.
No.
Oh,
we can't hear him.
We cannot hear you.
What do you want to ask? Maybe you can type in the chat.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe just walk to
Just
Can
chat.
you connect the
you want to get in your computer and do it.
You guys can go ahead. He's gonna put the question on the chat.
Okay. Cool. Yes. In the chat, the
Thank
question
you.
I will remind everyone. Okay, so go to the next slide, and this is a good example. Yeah, yes, is it? What is that? This one? What is this?
Example of control component.
Oh
right?
yeah, this is an example control. As you can see, it's like you set state because of value. So basically, you just change the state based on value.
I think it's about the value in the input, right?
Yeah.
This the control
exactly.
component is here, not here.
Yeah.
Not here.
We use state
It's
of
this
the
thing.
component to control the value, to give the value to value attribute. So it doesn't matter, even though like you get prop from parents and then you use that prop as a state and then give that to the value which means you still control, even though this inside component not really do the on change, but if we have
It's
state,
still a state, right? Because it's a
Because
getting that state through the prop.
come from
of-
prop.
Like
of
who
the
is
parent.
control the value, not
They
about
control
Yeah.
state.
who is control the value. If it's from us, then it's the
Yeah.
control component.
Or maybe just the key is just like what the data come from. Does it come from the
right?
state?
Yeah. What's the value come from?
Yeah.
Where it's come from?
Yeah. That probably the easiest.
And
Right.
yeah, I think I'm kind of confused about what is it? It's like a default value when you can set default value too.
Right, you can put that. That's another attribute. So
Yeah,
we have
another at-
inside the input. There's so many attributes.
Yeah, you
One
can
of
have
them is
value
default
and
value.
default.
So which means
value.
when input first mounted, it
Yeah.
will show that default value for you.
Mhm.
Usually they might say like, please fill in
Yeah.
your name, something like that. It's
Yeah.
a default value. It's like first initial value.
Can you control that one?
I think you can control it. I'm not sure. Default.
But it's
Good
not
question.
really
I have to
control.
try.
It's just because it's just like
I mean,
just
yeah,
one
can you
part. It's just
put the state in
kinda like
that
a
default
hardcode.
value? I'm not really sure too.
You might be able, if you do dynamic, like you might be like, oh, default value, and then you have state somewhere that default input value,
change over time. or
and then
something.
you will put in and then use that prop as a like use that state, but it will do just when it's first mounted, and then when you start to type
Usually
in, it will
people
change.
they just hard code for the default value usually.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
you usually don't change the default value, like
You
because
change the
what,
value. Right?
when it's like
Yeah.
initial, what what you want it to show, and usually it doesn't change.
But
We- yeah.
Sorry, I see it might be happening when it, for example, you have many input. You have like input for email, input for phone number, input for password, and then you create one object that kind of handle the dynamic of data into input. For example, you have object that say default value of email. You want to make it as please fill in email, and then you have object where it's phone number, and then you use that instead of hard coding, but you kind of like have data that you manage outside, and then you bring that data and then use that inside that.
But I feel like default value is not related to control or uncontrolled component.
Oh, right.
It's about the value.
I think
It's not
yeah.
state.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what I'm
It's all
confused
about the
because I
value.
watched with some videos and they have like a default value. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
All right.
Oh, cool. How's it going, guys?
Oh, you here now? We can hear you.
So I have a question on this control component. So control component and uncontrolled component, you can both have like JavaScript function in there for onChange, right? You say the difference is with the value, how the value is like the data is managed.
Yes.
So as an uncontrolled component, does the data have to be like hard coded, or it's basically you're not using any like React state like hooks and stuff like that?
Oh,
You don't have to put anything here for uncontrolled component.
Yes.
You don't even have to hard code because the DOM already do that for you.
Because
which
That's when
means
you let the DOM control.
you're not binding state
not binding
from the component to the value. That means uncontrolled. You're not binding state value to the value attribute.
Yeah. So that
Gotcha.
the value is like originally from the DOM.
Control is equal we control.
Like
Uncontrolled.
React state control.
Yeah. Equal DOM control.
Real DOM.
So if you want to do uncontrolled component, like let's say you want to put some data in there, how you would do that? Like you would just like have it hard coded as a string?
You literally just type it in the browser.
Just type it like this.
but it might not change the state. You might not see it, the value on the right. We not
Okay.
No,
see
you
value.
see it. You see it in the UI, but you don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
I think what Dylan asked is like if you want to assign the value to the
You
input
want a
element,
hard code.
but you don't wanna
Bind
bind
it.
with the React, right? So how could you do that? Is that what you asked?
Put it there.
In that case, I don't think that's a
Yeah.
use case for that, because when the reason you want to control because you want to assign state, but then when you say that if to hard code it, if you hard code it inside React, then React will warn you that this is going to be read only.
Yeah,
You
yeah, but I
cannot-
mean there is a workaround, but it's I mean it's like you can study it in the future.
It's still uncontrolled.
Yeah, it's
in
still
my opinion.
uncontrolled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
Right.
you
use-
like a
you
hard code,
use,
it's uncontrolled because it's the DOM. The DOM is controlling, not state, not React state.
Right. So this is kind of like a design choice you would do, like when you're
Right.
making your components, like how you want to
Yeah.
build it. So like when would you pick like when would you say to yourself, okay, I want to do uncontrolled component. I don't want this thing to be controlled by React. Like, is there any benefit to doing an uncontrolled component? Like, I feel like you're giving up
Yes,
giving up
is.
some benefits with that. Without if you say I'm not going to use state, I feel like you give up a lot of like power with that. Like, why would you want to give up
Right.
state?
There will be some benefits, some trade-off between using and using. That's a good question. I think this gonna be next talk on with who's present on this.
Noon.
Noon.
But we can tell a little bit now.
Yeah.
It's about
It's
when you use React state, right? It's about re-rendering. So every change, it will re-render. But if you use the DOM,
when you use uncontrolled, when you want to do uncontrolled component, when you don't want it re-rendering every time, because sometimes you just need to validate like the data or
on change, like validate
Yeah.
on change.
but if
You can do that with uncontrolled.
any keystroke, you don't want just cracking of it, kind of thing like that.
Because
So
you
you
don't
get some
get
like performance benefit then. It's sound like, yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. But in the most case, they recommend you to use control component because I think last week if you like I have some resource about
Slide.
the form data that Noon is
The
gonna talk today
presentation.
also.
yes, and he can show it to you.
Yeah, because it's like this time it's just like I skipped that class, so this time it's just like I present it if they want to know if I understand it or not. So but the first time that Noon present, they have like everything.
But we still continue talk today too, because I will talk about
Yeah.
It's good to talk
Yeah.
over and over. Mount it in your head.
It's like when you do uncontrolled, there are many ways that you can work with the input with uncontrolled component. Yeah, and this is one of the way that is form data that Noon gonna talk today. That we're gonna learn.
And actually I found something that they say it's like uncontrolled component keeps the single sort of truth in the DOM. That's why like people use that, but you have like
Keep
What
the
does that
sort of
mean?
truth, you mean that's just the sort of truth, right?
It's the sort of
Yeah.
tool just in the DOM. Yeah.
yeah that
Just
If
in
we
the
have-
DOM.
Because if we control, there are two source of truth. It's our React state
Yeah,
and
virtual
the
DOM.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two.
yeah
Because even though we control, the DOM still working its own on its own. It's always working,
But it's synced,
but
right?
it will be two.
Sync
It will be
each
two.
other. It's
But
like-
we choose the React to control, you know, the value. But the DOM still work on its own. But if we don't have the React, then the DOM will be controlled.
Mhm.
Okay.
so yeah normally people use like a control component, right?
Yeah,
It depends on
I feel
use
like-
case, depends on
Yeah.
what you try to achieve, I think.
I use none.
no, No, but usually if you don't think about performance or anything too much, usually people just use control because
Yeah.
it's easy.
Easy.
Because we have everything, we have all the data, and we can.
So to make sure it
manipulate
comes from only one source.
Yeah.
The
So you
thing.
don't have to do like use ref and everything like more like
Mhm.
could be more advanced for some people, you know, to
Yeah.
access the DOM and stuff in the React. In React.
Okay, next slide, I think.
Is it uncontrolled?
I think it's the same
Compare.
thing. Just
Comparison.
Yeah.
See, we don't control value on the one on the right.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no value.
No
But
value.
control by state of React.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It's just a comparing. So yeah. The day.
So they, what do you think? What's they mean in this context? They do not maintain their own state.
you ask who asked me?
Yeah. Yeah. Or anyone can kind of like, what would you
They
think?
do
What's they
not
refer to?
I think it's the DOM element.
Mhm.
Right.
In this case,
Like
the
inputs.
yeah, it's the input.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you said in first time that it's like in
Right.
But what does that mean? The data is controlled by the parent component.
I think that's because that's block might show example where the parent is holding the state and then passing like you have form as a probably parent and then wrap input inside form so that I don't know, it's just
it's like a parents component is like a state, right? Is it like a so is it just like a control by
we have
I'm kind of confused about this too.
we have to see code on that.
Yeah.
No,
The
they
one that
don't.
you
They don't have
refer.
any.
How-
They don't have any code or anything.
Oh,
Yeah, they just like show like this, but it seems like data is controlled by DOM. It's like an actual DOM. In my understanding, it's like data is controlled by the parent component.
I don't
like
think
a
this is
state or
right for
something.
all the
right,
states.
right.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
It could be just component
It's
itself.
basically by
Yeah, it could be just
state.
React. Yeah. So basically, data is like controlled by React state.
Do you have
That's what they mean.
Do you have the website for this?
We just gonna go and tell him that.
Yeah, but I have to like find.
But I saw that you have
like,
some like
You have
link
some links at the end.
at the end.
Of them.
Yeah, but I have more. I have to add more.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, look.
I think we kind of get on the same page
The
here.
wrong. Yeah, I have like all of this.
But the most important thing, Gift, do you understand better now? Or how do you
I'm
feel?
kind of like understand better about what is like controlled and uncontrolled components.
Can you tell me about it? Like, what do you understand, like in brief?
So basically, when you like control components, it's like you control by React, and you can control the data. You control the value, what you want it to be. Like, I mean,
How?
control,
Like
you set value, right? And then you set the state to change, follow the value. So it's like a you change every time when you read it and change state.
Bind the state to the value.
By the state.
Bind the state to the value.
Yeah, it's about like binding.
bind
Oh,
together.
B-I-N-D, bind.
Binding.
B-I-N-G. Bing bing.
B-I-N-D, bind.
Ping the
That's
state.
how you make a that's how you make a control component.
Yeah, and
Can
in like in first time I didn't understand like uncontrolled components, so I was like, what is like being like? But yeah, I'm kind of like I have like a general idea and understand like, oh, okay, it's like a DOM. So yeah.
So
It's like,
basically, uncontrolled component is the default. The
The
default.
data,
The default component is uncontrolled.
Mhm.
If we don't do anything, it's already uncontrolled because we don't control it. It's the DOM. that will
Oh
control
yeah,
it.
and if you want to use this is like one thing that it's like if you want to use like the value that you put it, you can use ref.
No, number 3 is still not because they have many ways. There are many ways to do that too. Left is just not the one case.
Yeah.
Then
Ref is one of the method
One
that
of the
you can
way
use. You
to
can
do
use
it.
like form data that's not
Mhm.
doing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
He
you
can
do
he
very,
can so proud of Noon.
or like query selector.
Yeah.
You can do many ways. Yeah.
Yeah, let's be one of the way to do that. It's kind of really hard. I cannot even do it. I told you.
But this will be another topic
like
for the
advanced,
use ref. Yeah.
Yeah, you see from Noon.
And use ref not only just do the to get the value.
Let's can
for
use
input.
in a lot
You
of.
can do many things. Yeah. With
Mhm.
use ref also.
I think will be
Yeah.
another topic like when you
Yeah.
we understand more about that. We can try to do that. Yeah, maybe later on next year.
This year นี่แหละ
No, because this 3 weeks and we still in control component.
So
If you come here, you cannot stop. Okay. Otherwise, we have to come back control uncontrol again.
Yeah.
And we're not going anywhere.
So generally speaking, though, like an uncontrolled component is not going to use anything like context, props, like redux, state, like all that stuff, and it's going to use like kind of like vanilla JavaScript almost, like to handle all the values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
You can still return like JSX though in the
Yeah.
uncontrolled
Yeah,
component.
yes,
It's just that it's not going to grab any of the values like
Right.
using like
Mhm.
React stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. The use case, one of the use case that we talked last week is that we don't do we do uncontrolled component inside form input where it just grab data from e.target.element.value so that and then we just submit that data. But inside submit function, we also do validation inside submit, but which means we validate everything at one time on the submit function instead of versus control value where we can, if we hook it up with on change and then use the on change value binding that to state and use that value, we be able to do on chain validation on each input separately. That kind of like
By letter
different
by letter.
design, right? Different design. If you want to just validate on one time on submit before you send data to server, or you want to validate every keystroke.
Yeah.
Silence.
You got
so
it.
it's like everybody is like, yeah.
Gotcha.
And you will see more and more, you will understand it when it's come, you have to use it.
Yeah. When you use React, you know what you want to do with the
Yeah,
data.
it will come. Yeah, if you like forgot about this, it will somehow create a bug like that. Last week we talked about like we put some piece of state into the output that you think that you want it to show like that, but actually like we uncontrol the input component and then the result it's not like
It's like behind one keystroke behind.
it's not come as we expect. Yeah.
Because we don't get the data on change.
I have things like that. Yeah. But yeah, everywhere that you have a question, you can come back and ask again. Yeah.
You can raise hands if we don't hear you.
I will not speak anyway, but yeah.
Or if you turn on your camera and you can do like, hey, like
Waving.
That's like I need to
All right. Good. Thank you, Jay, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
Yay.
Thank you.
Who is next?
Me, but can I go? Can you stop record?
I think, in my opinion, I think should be known because
Hold
it's
on.
the same.
All the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I go to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, me too.
Stop it. I will
Okay.
stop
No
the
pee
recording.
break.
Okay.
Work hard.
Recording.
Okay.
Can you stop